clicker. Hi, it's a massive privilege to be able to talk to you all today about AI in paid digital marketing. So we're going to be talking about paid a little bit now after all the SEO chat. And I'm not a good person to talk to you about SEO, so it'll be good to move things along onto the paid side now. So I am Imogen Collins. I have been at Genie Goals for 8 years. I've been working in digital marketing for e-commerce for over 10 years. I work at Genie Goals, and we're an award-winning PPC, paid social affiliates agency specializing in e-commerce brands only, based out of Cambridge. So how can e-commerce brands leverage artificial intelligence to drive profit? So I'm briefly going to be covering what AI is and what has changed recently, and a little bit about how we're using it in e-commerce, and then how some of the tech giants like Facebook, Meta, Google have been using it as well. What some of the downsides are of these automated tools that they're providing for us, and then some tips and tricks on how we can be getting the most out of those tools and minimizing the downsides. So you might be forgiven for thinking that AI is something that was suddenly invented in the last couple of years and hasn't really been around in reality for very long. Alan Turing actually described the Turing test in 1950, and the first AI program was created in 1955. So this is something that computer scientists have been working on for 70 years and has changed a lot in that time. And we've had things like chess-playing robots that can walk and things like that. But a lot it's really, really been something that has come to the forefront of digital marketing more in the last 10 years. So artificial intelligence could be described as a field of computer science that specializes in machines or systems which can do tasks that normally would require human intelligence. And machine learning is a subset of that, and that's focused around taking data and training computers to be able to learn from that data to kind of categorize or predict, make predictions based on it. So an example would be a computer recognizing spam emails based on thousands of examples of what spam emails look like, and then going forward, they can use what they've seen and make predictions about that. Going from there, we've got deep learning, which uses these deep neural nets, which are based around those that we find in the human brain, in order to use vast quantities of unlabeled data to learn. And we can use that for things like computer vision, which allows computers to interpret photos and videos, and natural language processing, which enables computers to understand human language and kind of interpret and generate human language as well. So those images you might have noticed were also artificially generated by an artificial intelligence. So those were made using Midjourney. And it's really interesting. You put in anything like artificial intelligence or machine learning into Midjourney, it just gives you these sexy robot pictures. And I don't know if that's just the self-image of the AI, or it could be that it's an example of bias in artificial intelligence. So what you use to train an AI is really important to what it generates out of the other side. It's not just a kind of objective, logical arbiter, which is always right. It is really important, the rules that are being used and the kind of data that you're giving to it in the first place. So if you look at this Google Trends report for artificial intelligence, you might notice that in the past year, people have gotten a bit more interested in it. And there's been a huge shift in how much AI is talked about. So this might have left some marketers thinking. I was talking to a guy last night who was like, what are people actually using it for? Because I've gone on ChatGPT and I can't really see how that's going to save me any time in my work. It kind of, can give you a bit of information and it's fun, but it is like, how are all these people saving loads and loads of time and doing it and kind of making more money based on artificial intelligence? So large language models are a big recent advancement in AI. They use neural nets, deep learning to take vast quantities of text data, and then they can generate essays, have conversations with you, cheat at tests, whatever you want to do. And those are really, really fun and interesting and accessible and free. So people can use things like that, like ChatGPT or Midjourney, and find out what the capabilities of AI are and become really, really interested in it. And that's really important. But the ways that AI really impacts us are not through those kind of things. AI has been kind of deeply woven into the fabric of big tech companies for years and years. They've had big AI departments working for 10 years and developing and adding these tools into their everyday experiences in all the different products that they have. One thing that has changed a lot in the last 5 years is, so in 2018, the Cambridge Analytica scandal happened, and I'm sure everyone knows what happened there, but this was a company that was using quizzes on Facebook to steal loads and loads of user data and use it to impact elections. And that got everyone really, really interested in data privacy, and people suddenly realized that there's a lot of stuff that we could do with their data that they didn't like. And rightly so, data privacy has since then really, really improved, and a lot has happened. A lot of data privacy laws have changed, and we as marketers have seen this huge erosion in the level of visibility and control that we have over our marketing efforts, because a lot of the tools that we used to use weren't really aligned with modern day data privacy laws. And so we have a performance gap to fill there, and AI has come in to fill that performance gap and to help us be able to deliver highly personalized, audience-targeted campaigns which are driving good performance still. So as we move towards a cookieless world next year, we're going to find ourselves in a position where we still need to generate good performance, and there's going to be first-party data and contextual targeting, which is going to be part of the story there, but AI is the other part of the story, which is really going to help us to be able to keep delivering that great performance. How is anyone here already using AI in their e-commerce activities? So quite a few people are, and there are loads of tools out there which allow us to make decisions or predictions based on vast quantities of data at scale, like recommendation engines or supply chain and inventory management, dynamic pricing, fraud detection, things like that. You might be replacing some customer support people with a bit of some customer support bots, using that natural language processing that we were talking about earlier. And Google and Meta have got loads and loads of things all the way through all their products which are based on AI. So we've got things like Google understanding search queries and delivering better results. We've got voice assistants, improving routing and traffic predictions in maps, detecting fraud and harmful content categorization. So TikTok is really good at that. It's really interesting that they're able to categorize videos using AI to find out what each of those videos are about without having to use hashtags or titles. The AI is watching the video and working out what it's all about. Curated news feeds on social media. Obviously, everything you see on social media is based on, if you've made a slight pause when you've been going past an image, then you're going to see stuff like that over and over again for the rest of your life. So one of the biggest ways that it's impacted us as digital marketers in the paid space is through automated tools like Smart Bidding, which was released in 2016 for Google, which allowed us to start to bid at the time of the auction based on loads and loads of data signals, which we never had available to us before. This has since evolved into PBACs, which was released in November 2021. And that is a completely automated campaign type using a feed, some assets that you give it, and a bit of audience data if you've got it available in your account, and then it's going to go out there and find people, drive conversions for you, and do everything with those assets, test those assets and things like that. And then Advantage Plus is the meta version of this, which is a kind of feed-driven shopping style campaign on Facebook and Instagram. So there are downsides to these types of tools, as I'm sure many people are aware. they are a black box. So there's no insights into how decisions are being made, why certain things are happening. If you're driving good performance, it's really, really hard to get any answers about why you've seen a weird increase in clicks one day or impressions another day. You've really got very little information about that. And that low visibility extends to not being able to see your brand versus generic data in Google, your keywords, competitor insights, so granular competitor insights by brand that you stock on your site, things like that, the channels where your ads are appearing, the placements, and what's doing well or badly in general. You get kind of given like a little dashboard about this stuff that gives you a little bit of information, but really a lot of it is hidden from you. And there's a lack of control. So in Advantage Plus, there's no audience targeting as you would traditionally think of it. You can't target by age, gender, interests, lookalikes. You can't decide your placements. You can't set a CPA. You can't choose a city that you want to focus on. You set a country and a budget, and you give it some conversions, and that's it. That's the control you get, which is pretty shocking compared to what you would normally expect in a social media, paid social media campaign. And those algorithms are only as good as the instructions that they're given. So if it doesn't have the right information, and if you're well within your stated KPIs, the campaigns can do really, really strange things. So if you set a ROAS that's maybe a bit too low, you might see like massive amounts of clicks that are really, really poor quality because it's just trying to spend a bit more money to get you up to your ROAS. So there can become really strange things happening, and you really need to know how to kind of play the algorithm. There's a learning phase. So there's always been a learning phase in kind of setting up paid campaigns. But previously in a shopping campaign, we could use EPV, AOV, and click-through rate, kind of the expected earnings per visit for every product, and work out what we roughly expected the bids to be, and then move those bids up in order to generate more traffic until we were at a sweet point between volume and ROAS. And now we have to go through a learning phase where you're spending a lot of money, not getting much back at first, and all the money is being put straight into the pocket of the person who's setting the bids, which feels a little bit hard to swallow and a little bit dodgy, really. So that's a difficult one. The next thing that is difficult with these automated campaign types is that AI can't really do creativity. So when we look at these really fabulous Mid-Journey generated images, you might think that AI can do creativity. Of course it can. Look at this. It made this all on its own. And it's kind of, I don't know, has anyone heard the Chinese room thought experiment? So this is a thought experiment where you've got an English speaker in a room who doesn't know any Chinese, and you give them a load of instruction manuals with detailed instructions of what characters to send back out if they receive certain characters into the room. And they don't know that these are Chinese characters. They don't know anything about these characters, or they don't know what it means. It doesn't tell them what's going on with the characters. A Chinese speaker is outside the room, and they are sending in messages into the room in Chinese, and then they're receiving messages back in Chinese, and they think they're having a conversation with someone in the room. The person in the room has absolutely no idea they're even having a conversation. They've just been given instructions. And that's kind of how it works with AI. It's been given lots of instructions, and it knows what it needs to send out, and it knows what's going to get a good response from us. So it does that, but it doesn't know whether what it's doing makes sense. And that's why you see, a lot of hands in these pictures have like 6 fingers and things like that, because it doesn't really understand like what's going to look dodgy to us. It can just learn over time and constantly improve and optimize towards things that are going to work well for us. So we can give the AI loads and loads of assets and let it choose which ones things looks best together, but it's not going to be able to know if those things are weird or off-brand or ugly or clash or don't quite read well together. That's up to us. Next, it can't fix a bad strategy. So if conversion rate is, you can't just keep putting money into the black box and money coming out of the black box, and then you're just like, okay, let's put more money in. and then we'll make more money. And it just works like that forever. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where it stops sending out more money to you, or you just don't have a good enough conversion rate on your site to achieve that ROAS, or people just don't know who your brand is. So you need a full funnel. There's no full funnel in these kind of campaigns. If you look at Advantage Plus, there's no differentiation of messaging for somebody who has never heard of you versus somebody who has bought from you loads of times before. They're seeing the same kind of messaging. So it can't replace that full funnel approach that we'd normally be using in a marketing campaign. So why would we use it? Sounds terrible. Because it gets really, really good results. So on the Google side, we've been testing smart bidding since 2016, and it's free, which was a big bonus, but it also outperformed all the tools that we tested it against, constantly improving. It just really, really made sense to use it. And then as we move towards PMax, same thing. Advantage Plus is newer, but Meta says that it's going to drive 15% better ROAS and a 12% better CPA, and we've seen results that outperform that in our testing. Not always, but it overwhelmingly is driving good results, and it's definitely going to be part of the picture in your marketing strategy going forward. So how do we make it work? So first, we need to game the algorithm. So PMax and Advantage Plus don't work when you don't give them enough data. They need loads and loads of conversions and loads of clicks and lots of data to be able to work out who is more likely to buy from them than someone else, make those predictions. So we don't want to be missing out on any of the sales that we can be sending to them. We want to be making sure that we're using enhanced conversions, the Google Ads tag, the conversions API on Meta. We want to be doing things like uploading all of our first-party data, making sure it's got lots and lots of information about your customers. And we want to make sure that all the information in the feed is really, really good quality. So we're optimizing those feeds that we're giving to it to make sure that it's got everything that it needs to know to make a good decision. The one thing so when you're optimizing in a PMax campaign or an Advantage Plus campaign to conversions, a lot of your more budget is going to start getting put towards people who are more likely to convert, which often is existing customers of yours. So one thing that we need to do is kind of course correct, so we're not spending all our budget on our existing customers. So in Advantage Plus, you can set a limit on how much you spend on existing customers. So you definitely want to do that. At least I would match how much you're spending on existing customers and your existing campaigns when you first set it up, so you can kind of compare, and then you can optimize that going forward based on what you want to do. And then on the PMax side, you can add a value to all new customer sales, which is based around your lifetime value, just so that you give it starts to want to spend more money on those customers because they always drive those slightly higher values. You want to manage the learning phase. So when we set up a PMax campaign, we need to start with really low ROAS targets, and then really slowly, incrementally move towards the ROAS target you actually want to hit, so that you get that data early on. And you need to set yourself a kind of limit of how much you're willing to spend in that early phase and get through it as fast as possible. And if you're not seeing good results straight away, then maybe there's another issue, but you do need that. You need to get that data quickly and then make sure we're not kicking it back into learning by increasing our ROAS really quickly after that. We're going to want to inject creativity, so make sure we're giving all the possible assets that the tools could need. We don't want to see any auto-created content, so the auto-created videos that Google makes for you are not great. And we don't want to be seeing the wrong sized images in story placements on Facebook or Instagram, so make sure you've got all of those sizes. We don't want to be seeing edges chopped off, so keep the focal point in the middle of the image, make sure you've got really good quality images, make sure that you are not putting loads of text on the images because it's going to put it next to different ad text that you've given it, so it might look weird with some of the ad text you've given it. And in PMax, use pinning, so you can pin ad text into certain positions so that it reads correctly, because if it goes in the opposite it's going to just put everything in any order possible, and sometimes that can look really strange and be in a completely wrong order. So use pinning to your advantage there. You want to have a strategy. So PMAX can drive conversions or revenue with or without a CPA or ROAS target, and Advantage Plus just drives conversions. You can't set any targets. And people need to find out about your brand. We need to have kind of control over the strategy and align those KPIs with what we're trying to achieve. So we need to make sure that we're using the control that we've got to our advantage. So PMAX has got more control than Advantage Plus, and we can split out different campaigns. And while we don't want to have too many campaigns because we're going to be slicing the data into lots of different portions if we do that, and having less data to make those decisions that we need to make, there are some really, really good reasons that you might need to separate a campaign out. So if you need to report on a particular brand, or a particular set of products separately, or if we need separate competitor insights for those products separately, if we've got a different margin for a separate set of products, so if each brand that you stock has a different margin, then we're going to be wanting to bid on those separately based on like low, medium, or high margin products. You might have stock that's going into sale that you need to sell through quickly before it goes into sale and all the margins get hit. So you might want to split that out into a different campaign where you're willing to have a lower ROAS target, or vice versa. So in summary, I've realized I've reached the end of my time. AI is not new. It's been around forever. It's not something that is just being tried out for the first time. It's something that's been going on in the industry for 7 years, and that we've really tested and we know it works. It's not a strategy all on its own, so you can't just do some AI and that's all your marketing done. It's part of an overarching strategy that's got to be a full funnel, and it's a tool, so you need smart people to use those tools. It can't do the work itself. You can't just get the hammer to hammer in the nail for you. You've got to do it yourself. So it's going to take really smart people to be able to use the tool in the right way in order to get those amazing results. Brilliant, thank you.